We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly. Fires have been started and
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people.
It is my honor to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
In America, the impossible is what we do best. There is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. We will restore America's promise and we will rebuild the nation that we love. We will stand bravely, dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours. The golden age of America begins right now. America's decline is over. We will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. America will reach its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. The golden age of America begins right now.
The golden age of America begins right now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 87 of Just Our Take. I am your host. There's a lot going on tonight, and boy, oh boy, do we ever have a show for you. Here's my co-host David and our special guest Elle. He's with us, and we also have another special guest coming on later on. Dave, how you doing tonight?
And I'm doing great. It has been an action-packed week. I cannot tell you how many people I run into now are like, man, I feel so good since the January 20th. Am I okay? Is it okay to say that? I feel good. And I love it. Every day I ran into somebody I hadn't seen in a while this morning. Same interaction. We gave each other a big hug, and then we got to high five, do a little happy dance, and just kind of share some of the things we're most excited about. That's how good I'm doing. I feel great.
That's fantastic. How you doing, Elle?
I'm doing really good. It's been an incredible 2.5 weeks. We're in the third week of our new president. And I'm like David. When I talk to people who seem to be down and out, are pretty spry. And so am I. I'm super excited. I'm looking forward to today's show. Thank you again for inviting me. And I look forward to having a great conversation with everybody.
Of course. Well, it's always fun. We, the three of us, have a group text that we use to get to show information back and forth and to make sure that we're all on the same track and same page. And I got to tell you, it's hard to keep up with it because we're always sending these things and it's like, man, did we put that in the show? Okay, save that one. Okay, we put that one. It's just a lot of fun and good to have you on board. Thanks for being with us here tonight. We do have huge grins, that's for sure. Hey, speaking of tons of headlines, I'm going to run through the quick headlines.
Disclaimer. I got to give a disclaimer.
You should do the disclaimer so we don't get in trouble.
I want to give a disclaimer so that nobody gets mad at us. It's called Just Our Take. This is our opinion. You may agree, you may disagree. By the way, that's okay with us too. Just want you to know. If you disagree, throw it in the chat. If you feel like we got it wrong, put it in the chat. If you feel like you need to add something, we missed something, throw that in the chat. And if you do agree with us, that's great too. We're not necessarily looking for a bunch of people to go, yes, yes, yes. But if you do, that's okay. Go ahead and throw that in the chat. But at the end of the day, this is just our opinion, just our take, and just also appreciate the heck out of you being here.
That's right. And hello. I'm going to call you Katz because I know your real name, but hello, Katz. Welcome to the show. We're so glad that you are here. So glad that all of you are here. But Katz is she's in recoup session right now. She's recuperating. So we're really glad that she made it to the show and hope that her good friend is listening to us as well. Welcome. And if you've not been to a Just Our Take event before, welcome. We're glad you're here. I'm just going to toss some quick headlines. When we're putting the show together, we have to decide of all the things that are going on, what are we going to put on the show? This is a small portion of the headlines. So I'm just going to go through and toss them out here. We've got USAID, fraud, waste, and abuse. Gaza, 50-state protest going on now. Dems inciting war. Full 60-minute interview from Kamala Harris was dropped today. And boy, oh boy, it looks like there's going to be some ammo for that court case. At the same time, Joe Rogan today set the record straight because apparently Kamala Harris's team was not telling the truth about why she didn't appear on the show. The CIA was offered a buyout. Federal workers offered a buyout. All federal workers were to report in person or lose their job. All federal workers had to remove pronouns from their emails. Trump is going to the Super Bowl, first president to go to a Super Bowl. Trump warns Iran of dire consequences if they go down a wrong road. An executive order banning biological males from women's sports was signed today. Good one. Massive deportation operation underway. 1st, 5th, and MARSOC to the border. 101st Airborne to the border. United States Air Force is flying R-135 recon aircraft, making passes around Mexico. Pam Bondi was confirmed, and we've got a couple of other confirmations on the way. Let me tell you, that's just a piece of it. I couldn't even put them all on there.
And somebody named Chelsea received some money from the USAID. John, there's so many more. I was just thinking about all the ones you didn't mention.
Yeah.
It is incredible how much has happened in not even 3 weeks. And the momentum, like some people are, well, how long can he keep this up? Well, so far he's kept it up at at a full 10 now for almost 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Incredible.
Yeah, he's doing more, and there's a strategy that they talk about. Basically, he's not giving them any target to aim at. not one. As soon as they come up with something like the USAID, last night he drops out the Gaza thing. We're going to talk about that later. We also have a special guest on the show tonight. She's going to come up in just a moment. She is our most requested return guest on the Just Our Take show, and that is Mrs. John. She's going to be talking to us about the birth tourism program. But before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor. Steel Rebel Design creates all the hats, shirts, hoodies, cups, mugs, you name it. If it has our logo on it, they did it for us. So we want to thank them for being the primary sponsor of the Just Our Take show. If you want to get your hands on one of these fight shirts, that was the one that David and I wore to the Bozeman Trump rally. And we also have the old school, kind of like the one I'm wearing here. The old school Just Our Take. We also have this beautiful Make America Great Again white on snow camo. We also have the Make America Great Again dark MAGA, which is dark black on black. We got a whole bunch of stuff. Steel Rebel Design, Kim and Company at Steel Rebel Design take really good care of us. If you look down below in the description, you can get a link to their merchandise. And if you need to get a hold of them, she can take care of you too. So please take care of our sponsors who take such great care of us. Thank you, Steel Rebel Design. Okay. What do you say we get our wonderful guest on the line? Let me just call her up on the old telly.
Is she on line 33? Just checking in.
Just got to make sure she's she's on.
Did our call screener do a good job?
Yeah, did our call screener do a good job?
Oh, well, let's see.
Do I need to be on the beep button? Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah, please.
Beep,
Please.
beep.
Okay, so on the line now, I believe she's here. Is Mrs. John here?
I am.
Hey, welcome, Mrs. John. Welcome to the Just Our Take show. You've got David and Elle here with us.
Hi, guys.
You're here to give us a lowdown on what we talked about a couple weeks ago, which is the birth tourism. Many people have never even heard of it. Much like we do in Congress, I believe that you have an opening statement, and then we've got some time to Q&A you.
I do. There is just so much information out there, and it goes in so many directions. I really tried to streamline it. But basically, birth tourism is the practice of expectant mothers traveling to another country for the purpose of giving birth in that country. The main reason is to obtain citizenship for the child in a country with birthright citizenship. These children have been called anchor babies. It's the reason for their citizenship, aid their parents in obtaining permanent residency in the country. There are approximately 33,000 babies born in the U.S. to birth tourism each year. Birth tourism is problematic because it short-circuits and demeans the U.S. naturalization process, robs the American taxpayers of resources, and ultimately affects national security. These birth tourism agencies tout the benefits of giving birth in the U.S. rather than China, which is basically going to focus on China, with claims of the U.S. having the most attractive nationality, better air and less population, priority for jobs in the U.S. government, superior education, educational resources, including free education from junior high to public high school, a more stable political situation, and the potential to recover your senior supplement benefits when you're living overseas.
So if I understand it correctly, and you can correct us, apparently there's an entire industry out there that brings expectant mothers into the United States for the sole purpose of having a baby here to create a new U.S. citizen. Is that correct?
Yes. They have been able to crack down on it because the reality is we think of the birth tourism as it's just so that these children can get citizenship, but there's so much more to it. There is so much fraud, tax evasion, money laundering that goes along with it, that it's actually mind-blowing to me. As the more I dug into it, just how corrupt this practice is.
So you've seen it firsthand.
I have.
Okay. And your experience, like these people, I mean, do they seem like they want to be here, or is it just simply a transaction?
No, I mean when I see it, they're giving birth.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, so basically, let me break it down to how it works. I'm just going to focus on what happened in Southern California. That's where I experienced it. There were 3 agencies that were pretty well known, and they have names like USA Happy Baby, Star Baby Care, You Win USA, and they have representatives in China, and then they have representatives in the United States. They advertise in China for the people to come here to deliver their babies. They pay a fee of $40,000 to $100,000 for their delivery. The agency helps the pregnant woman apply for a visa, coaches them to lie about the length of their trip,
Wow.
where they stay, as well as the intent of their visit, because there's different. The whole visa application program is very convoluted. There's different kinds of visas that you apply for different things, and there's just a gamut of them, and you need to apply for the proper one. So they basically apply for a visa to come for a vacation, and they shouldn't be here for more than 2 weeks. They stay for about 3 months.
So to your knowledge, and again, if we go beyond the scope of your knowledge, just tell us, what are the things that they're paying for? So if you're Mrs., I'm not going to disparage anybody by saying, if you're Mrs. Pregnant Lady in China, and you pay a fee, what are you expecting to get for that fee?
You get you get the coaching, you get a place to stay, you have a cook, you're provided anywhere from 3 to 5 meals a day. You're provided with a driver that will take you to all of your doctor appointments. You're provided with outings. Everybody has like an assistant with them to carry their bags and to push their carts. They have a doctor that is actually contracted. It's usually a Chinese speaking doctor, and a pediatrician. And they are getting a passport for their baby.
That can't be cheap. Like, I just thinking about all the resources you just listed off, that's got to be pretty expensive.
So I may have missed it, Mrs. John, but did you say the hospital fees as well?
Well, ideally, yes. Anybody coming over to the United States for any kind of medical care, including having a baby, if you have medical complications that the country that you live in can't take care of, you're supposed to be able to prove that you can pay for those expenses. You have to do a declaration. So they'll say that they have the money if they get caught. But generally they skip out on their hospital bills, which leads the state or Medicaid to supplement the difference between what they pay and what the bill actually is.
Okay, so then if there are complications and they end up in intensive care, that cost is going to go through the roof. Absolutely. And they skip out on that.
Well, yes and no, because once a child is in the neonatal intensive care unit, and because that baby was born in the United States, then they are technically eligible for the state benefits.
It's great.
Wow.
So they declared that they have the financial wherewithal to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they do. It's hard to say, is it true or not? Then if there's an issue and the bills explode, right? Because maybe they need extra care. Then it turns out they don't have the money to pay. The child is eligible for benefits, and therefore the state or the federal government pays. It's beautiful.
Yes. Wow. Mm-hmm.
So we can't just withhold their baby from them.
Yeah.
No.
We're going to go ahead and hold on to this right now. Why don't you come back when you got the cash? I don't think that would fly very well.
I see a question from Marie. They're actually hiding their pregnancy, Marie. They are instructed to wear loose-fitting clothing so that they don't look pregnant, so they won't be questioned by the authorities. They're also, if pregnant to the LA area, they're usually instructed to fly to Hawaii first because the Customs and Border Patrol are more lax in Hawaii. So they fly into Hawaii, and that's where they go through customs, and then they fly into California.
Wow.
So have to go through customs.
Wow.
Shocking.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, from one blue state to the other.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we already checked this one. She's not pregnant.
Wink, wink. Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Oh my gosh.
And you said this earlier. How often is this happening? What are the numbers?
There's reported about 33,000 a year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about all of the money that is lost, when in 2015 they did a raid on the 3 companies that I talked about because they were operating in Southern California. I remember when they did this raid, they were finding that, like, the guy who ran USA, he was charging between 40, I think maybe it's a she. It's hard to tell with these Asian names. Charging $40,000 to $80,000 per client. And then also when they dug further, found that she had received an additional $3 million in international transfers from China over a 2-year period.
Wow.
So in that they were able to seize or forfeit 3 real properties, including a $2.1 million home in Irvine, 6 vehicles, including 4 Mercedes-Benz, more than $1 million from her bank account, and several gold bars and coins.
Wow.
Not the
Yeah,
gold.
and then the people that got busted for USA Happy Baby, that one was one that I was closest with because they were operating out of San Bernardino and were delivering babies at the hospital I worked at. They were charging as much as $100,000 per client. They had 14 different bank accounts and received more than $3.4 million in international wire transfers between 2013 and 2014.
Wow.
And that's just a couple.
And then they filed false tax returns and failed to report more than $1.9 million in revenue over 3 years.
Cats 243 wants to know if this is going on all over the U.S.
It does. Obviously, the border, the coastal states are easier. California, Oregon, Washington are pretty common. I've heard some people tell me that they heard about it a lot in, like, Chicago. And then there's one called Miami Mama that was catering to Russian clientele out of Florida.
Wow.
I have heard of here in
Easy to
Washington.
stop these deliveries because they were Asian and didn't speak English.
And they always requested the Chinese doctor.
Oh yeah, it was always the same the same OB and the same pediatrician. And the pediatrician wanted us as the staff to ask for a cash payment before he would discharge the baby.
Wow.
To collect his money.
So Mrs. John and I had on more than one occasion seen a van pull up at Costco and several Asian, Chinese, whatever ladies step out of the van and get their weekly trip to Costco together. And they had a guide, and then they had several assistants with them. I don't know. I mean, how did they get that many Costco cards? I don't.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, it was pretty prevalent. Let me just say, sorry about that, Mrs. John, but she pointed it out to me. She spotted it right away. She could see that. That's birth tourism right there.
It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is once they kind of cracked down on this, then a whole nother business that started was having surrogates delivered.
Explain that for us.
So a surrogate is a woman who agrees to carry a baby for another person, couple. It's a very legal process. There's a lot of legalities and a lot of paperwork involved. I've read through the contracts, and those are very interesting. That the they call them gestational carriers. They end up getting, $40,000-$50,000 and to carry a baby for a Chinese couple or a couple from another country. But the problem with that is a lot of them are using their insurance or are on state aid. So again, the insurance companies are being frauded, or the state is being frauded. So these women are collecting money, and the state is paying for their medical bills.
So Marie has another question for you. If you could answer that one, and then I have a question too. Do you see
I
that?
believe they do apply for their Social Security card before, but they generally go back to China. They stay in China till they're about 13 years old. The elementary education system in China is superior to ours. So then they come back to the United States with a better education and can now get free education through junior high and high school, because apparently you don't get free education in China for the above elementary education. Then they can get scholarships to colleges in the United States and not pay non-resident or international tuition fees. And then when they're 21 years old, they can apply for immigration status, legal immigration status for their parents.
So for those who just joined us, we're on the phone with Mrs. John. She is a medical professional, primarily in the baby catching business. Is that for being very articulate? And she's talking to us about birth tourism. So the question I have, when you talked about the surrogate part, and again, forgive me if I don't use the proper vernacular, but are you talking about they're implanting their embryo, their Chinese embryo?
Yes.
So it is a full Chinese baby carried by any race mother or
Yes.
surrogate. They deliver the baby. That baby then has birthright citizenship.
Yes.
Wow.
Because then it's basically the way the paperwork is written. It's like an adoption in some cases. In other cases, the parents are the it's more of a contract where I don't want to get too boring about it, but it's very much a legal document where this person, Mr. John Doe and Mrs. John Doe own the embryo that's implanted into surrogate X, and any baby that she has within this time frame belongs to them. That way, there's no no issues with the surrogate trying to keep the baby. But then again, the baby is born in the United States, therefore.
Wow.
And
you would think, I mean, if there'd be a way to block all of this, to find, to close up all the loopholes, but it's been going on for decades.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's been going on as long as I've been doing this. It's 27 years.
Wow. Any other questions for Mrs. John on the subject? It's been eye-opening and jaw-dropping.
Yeah, it's shocking. I'm trying to think, is there any part of that today with today's laws? Is there any part, aside from the fact that you're not going to pay your hospital bill, that actually, like, if you purposely set out to not pay that bill, then that's a problem. It's fraud. But outside of that, is there anything illegal about somebody coming here, having their baby here, paying all their bills, and then leaving with their child now having U.S. citizenship? Is there anything that's
no? There's nothing illegal about it. You can actually apply for a visa to do just that. But these people are coming with the intent of lying to the federal government, taking advantage of federal and state governments, and not wanting to pay their bills.
Yeah,
and they know that we will let them get away with it.
And then also, and then the agencies that are doing it are capitalizing off of it.
So, two questions in the chat for you. Kat's first, and then Marie.
That's a whole nother story. Cats. That's
So,
a whole.
The question was, how do they transfer the embryo?
Well, it's done in the United States. So usually they can either, if it's the mother and the father, it's his sperm, her egg, and it can be done here in the United States. So they would have to make a couple of trips over, or it could be his sperm and a donor egg that could be from anywhere, or it could be donor sperm and mom's egg. So there's a lot of different ways that that embryo can be made. It can even be freeze dried and shipped over.
Wow. Well, that's quite the
Freeze-dried.
travel plans. And then was there any way to bring in law of when they came for delivery when you suspected it was fraud?
As medical professionals, not really.
Would that
There's
violate
really
HIPAA?
That would be violating HIPAA, because we didn't have any proof. That would really be up to the hospital, like the billing department. As medical staff, there was not a whole lot we could do about it.
Interesting. But you did say that some of these the Asian birth tourism programs have been broken up and arrested. And you mentioned, I think to me off air, that one of these cases just went to not conviction, but sentencing, right?
Yeah, but they only get sentenced for like 41 months, 3.5 years. It's not a whole lot of time.
Yeah, if you're making $3 million, then you get to go sleep in Club Fed for, a couple of years.
And they're federal offenses, so that they're staying, in a nice jail.
Unbelievable.
Or stay at home. Here's an ankle monitor, right? So we don't know, but yeah, it's clearly a lucrative business.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you have opened our eyes and given us something to think about. I guarantee, folks, that we will have Mrs. John back on for another. I'm sure there's going to be something that comes up that we have to have her back on. But we, again, very much appreciate you taking the time and
just respond to Marie's question.
Yeah.
Asking for cash for the bill didn't qualify. No, because we do have a lot of people that don't have medical insurance that are considered self-pays or cash pays.
Ah, interesting.
Wow. You said a lot. That surprises me.
Yeah. No, especially actually here in Montana, a lot of people don't have insurance.
Wow. Okay.
Well, there you go.
That sounds like a topic for another day, but that surprises me.
I'd like to leave with a quote from Joseph Macias. He's a special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Los Angeles.
Perfect.
He said, America's way of life is not for sale. HSI will aggressively target those who would make a mockery of our laws and our values to benefit and enrich themselves. No one needs to be reminded about the national security and public safety implications of visa fraud and the crimes associated with it. Anyone who would exploit our nation's generosity and our legal immigration system should be on notice that they may end up being the ones that to pay a very steep price.
Wow.
You say from Los Angeles?
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
That's surprising. Wow. That's fantastic.
Don't forget, there's a lot of people vote red down there, Dave. That's
I'm just saying, it's a shocker.
Don't be offending our audience
Yeah.
from Los Angeles. So
I'm from Los Angeles. I left. I escaped.
If I
Mrs.
may add, sorry, go ahead, John.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to make a comment that here we have this fraud impacting all of us American citizens, and yet the FBI had over 40% of their folks trying to find the January 6th attendees.
Yeah.
Right? 5,000 FBI agents were tasked with finding people that just didn't even go into the Capitol building. They were just outside.
Last
seeing
week
what
we
was
had
going
a
on.
story of
Yeah.
one of the guys who was absolutely abused by them. Anyway, Mrs. John, thank you so much for being with us on Just Our Take again and for all of the insight. I know that you did some homework before tonight, so we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And from all of our audience, we really appreciate your time and for coming on the show. We'll see you again soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Wow.
Bye.
Did that just blow your mind or what?
I'm shocked. Every day I learn something new and I'm just surprised. And I think, how do people think up this whole scheme? and they make a business out of it and they become wealthy and I just keep going to work and these people are like, I know how to grift. Watch this.
So
Well, to add to that, David, I had family in Southern California that are teachers. One of them is a close family member who has told me in the past that they have some of their high school students from China that live with no parents, but they have like maybe 5 or 6 of them living there, and the parents are overseas and pay for them to live 100% in America and get our education. So yeah, there's a plenty of grifting going on. That's for sure.
It's incredible.
I was going to save this for later, but I'm going to toss this out there really quick because it's interesting and it kind of goes along with what we were talking about. Just toss this one up here real quick. Oh, it's not going to let me.
Come on, Scott. Do your job.
Hang on now.
It's always Scott's fault if there's a delay.
It is Scott's fault, but let me share this and then let me go ahead and put it up on stage.
Yeah, I agree, Maria. I was wondering the same thing. Does this happen in other countries? Like, what other country would allow this?
Hang on now. This might answer.
All right.
I moved to Finland when I was little. I grew up with only one citizenship, Finnish. And my Finnish passport says birthplace Russia. I moved to America 15 years ago. I became neutral as American citizen 3 years ago. My American passport says birthplace Russia. So I have dual citizenship, American, European. Both passports, birthplace Russia. That being said, I have no legal status in Russia. I have visa. I don't have a citizenship. So if I were to show up today on Russian border, they would shoot my ass, okay? As I would be trying to enter illegally. I cannot just show up, even though I was born in Russia and I speak Russian because I'm illegal there. So I would have to either seek asylum through the embassy. I would have to hire a lawyer. My husband, who is an American citizen, he's originally from Ireland, but he's an American citizen. When we go to Europe, to Finland, he cannot overstay his stay because if he does even one day, they would deport him. He would not be allowed back to the country for the next 10 years, and we would have to hire a lawyer as this is a crime. This is not only the case with Europe and Russia. This is the case with Asia, Middle East, actually every single country in the world. If you just show up to Saudi Arabia's border uninvited and illegally, they will neutralize you in the border. It's called border control and immigration laws, and everyone enforces it in the world. And for those Americans who think that we have the strictest immigration laws in the United States, it's actually the complete opposite. We have the most lax immigration laws. And for those who don't know, you can absolutely seek asylum legally.
There you go.
Yeah. You show up, they're going to neutralize you. I like the way she said that. It's called border control. But you know what? It's true. I don't, if you've traveled to other countries, there is a process. Well, John, I know you have, and Elle, I'm sure you have as well, especially if you were in the military. Well, that's a different experience traveling between countries. But when you go through their customs, I mean, you can't just show up. Try crossing into that country illegally. It's not going to end well for you.
The other thing I wanted to bring up.
Let me give you an example. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
The other thing I wanted to bring up just about Mrs. John's comment was in 2017, there was a report from the FBI that there were 200,000 Chinese spies in California alone. 200,000 Chinese spies in California alone. So when that quote that she gave at the end that talks about national security, that's where it's coming from. Sorry, go ahead, Al.
Yeah, just a quick comment about traveling overseas. So I've worked in tech, and I would say about 20 years ago, I went to a South American country. Before I went there, I had to get a letter from from our distributor. We were a manufacturer that we had a distributor in 2 countries. Their CEO had to write a letter that we needed to take to the consulate to get a visa to go into that country. Then I had the dates. Then I also had to carry a letter stating from my company, a U.S. based company, that yes, this is L. He works as this role, and he's going to be there for 2 weeks. And I had to show that to their INS when I landed there, and I went through customs, right? So they're like, okay, I stamped my U.S. passport and said, okay, you're only here for 2 weeks, and they made sure that I understood that. So, it's tougher than people think outside of the U.S. when you enter somebody else's country.
Changing gears here. Everybody has heard about USAID or USAID. It's actually it's not USAID, although that's what a lot of people call it. And that's a marketing plan. They call it that for a reason, because they want you to think that this is the United States spending good money to go out there and help people from other countries. However, if I just toss this one up here and boil that little myth down, what do you say?
It was USAID that I fear much more than the CIA, because the USAID is how CIA gets shit done.
USAID is clearly in the job of trying to bring about regime change. It has secret bank accounts, shell companies.
USAID gets $50 billion a year in U.S. taxpayer money. That's a larger overt fund than the CIA has.
USAID perhaps is the new CIA.
Have we ever tried to meddle in other countries' elections?
Oh, probably.
This is not just about over there. This is about here.
They have a process, a system by which they destroy other nations. And they use that same process and system in order to destroy the United States.
It's a plot against our own people.
America. What if I told you that the United States government was acting like the world's Gestapo, using organizations like USAID under the pretense of humanitarian aid to topple governments, install politicians, and orchestrate regime changes in third world countries?
I disagree with that as somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat. Yeah. Not here, but, other places.
These are places that are practically entirely run at this point by the CIA and the U.S. State Department, which is, of course, a CIA front.
USAID provides most of the money.
This isn't a giveaway.
The State Department provides the policy vision.
This makes a difference to people's perception of us. Tricky endeavors, whether it's fighting terrorism,
Al-Shabaab groups in USAID camps,
or narcotics.
Joe Biden's State Department is commanding the Taliban to keep the opium flowing.
Or oppression or resistance to governance.
Those USAID trucks were stopped at the border to Venezuela with fully automatic weapons.
All of those things.
I don't think that's humanitarian aid.
What a difference that makes.
And if we stand for democracy anywhere, we have to stand for it everywhere, including in Guatemala.
Guatemala. What if I told you that USAID, the State Department, and the CIA created a fraudulent political party and then used that illegitimate party to rig the 2023 Guatemalan election so they could install a list of CIA-controlled politicians who would continue to allow them to run the world's largest child trafficking network out of Guatemala?
Nothing to do with that. Correlation, not causation. That is absurd.
They didn't deny it, which means that they admit it.
This is no question a political shocker in Guatemala.
The U.S. government, the Biden administration, helped cover up voter fraud.
Why Guatemala? Why not some other country?
Guatemala is concerned about child trafficking, the NGOs that are trafficking the children.
Jill Biden was the chairman of the board of Save the Children.
You guys just raided Save the Children.
Guess who stepped in? The State Department, U.S. Embassy, and USAID. Another coincidence?
America. What if I told you that DHS, under the direct orders of Alejandro Mayorkas, would create a public-private partnership with Mexican cartels, and that HHS, under the direct orders of Xavier Becerra, would create a public-private partnership with NGOs like Save the Children and Southwest Key Programs. And in this quasi-public-private partnership, they would use your tax dollars to fund the world's largest international child trafficking operation.
As to whom we know where they are, that is outside the responsibility of the Department of Homeland Security.
This is nothing but lies. Nothing but lies.
Secretary Mayorkas, he acts like none of this ever happens.
It's his policies that caused over 500,000 of children being smuggled in this country.
And he also knew who to blame. HHS places those children. That's on you.
Was that a question to me?
Are you familiar with the sponsors that utilize a strip club as an address? You shrug your shoulders and then send another batch of kids out to sponsor.
Human trafficking bust at an egg farm. Federal prosecutors call it modern-day slavery.
Of course, we investigate cases of trafficking.
Another lie.
God, that guy is so...
blood is...
Are you mad yet? Are you mad yet?
So, well, first of all, USAID, topple. Hey, they have been in Guatemala for a long time. They started in 1954. Vice President of the U.S. was reached out by the CIA because U.S. banana growers did not like the duly elected president of Guatemala, who said the Guatemalan land and banana crops should be for the Guatemalans. And the CEO of Chiquita Banana picked up the phone to Vice President Eisenhower's vice president in 54 and said, hey, can you make this go away? And guess who was there? USAID. So this hits me right here because I am a naturalized citizen and my family is from Guatemala. So as a veteran, as a United States Marine Corps veteran, I wish I can go talk to these folks right now.
It's egregious. It's absolutely egregious. Okay, so it's been in the news a lot. We have to talk about it. Elle, thanks for sending the link. So I just put the site up here, but this is from the White House. So this is you can go find this yourself. And I want to read a couple things here. For decades, the United States Agency for International Development. So it's not like aid as in, let me get you some food and shelter and some Band-Aids and, some medical assistance. Nope. International Agency for International Development, which can mean a lot of things. It has been unaccountable to taxpayers as it funnels massive sums of money to the ridiculous and many cases malicious pet projects of entrenched bureaucrats. I meant to say that, with next to no oversight. So there's just a short list here, but what's beautiful is you can actually click this to external sources and see more detail. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplace and business communities. I don't know if Serbia wants that. Why are we investing it? It's another country. Maybe they're not interested. And if they are interested, then why can't they fund that themselves? $70,000 for production of DEI musical in Ireland. Same question. $2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam. Look, I'm all for it. If you want an electric vehicle, knock yourself out. But why am I paying my taxes to help sell electric vehicles in Vietnam? That's not what I want my tax dollars to go to. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. Look, I support you. If you're transgender and you want to have an opera, I support you in Colombia. I don't want to pay for it, but I don't even want to pay for it here either, by the way.
I think it goes without saying we don't want to pay for any of these things. But I mean, what really struck me in the piece from Mike Benz, and that's the name of the guy who did that previous video, was it's really shocking that they tie it back to child trafficking. Mm-hmm. And so if you connect all of the dots, USAID is helping to fund child trafficking. If not fund it, at least hide it. And then you start looking at all of the people. I'm making a jump here. You look at all of the people that are fighting to keep USAID, the ones that are angriest, the most vocal, the loudest. Those people have to know what USAID is really doing. It's not all this junk here. And by the way, I was really shocked at how much money is being funded for the transgender movement. I mean, we're talking about transitions. We're talking about the transgender opera. We're talking about comic books for transgenders, or that we're highlighting transgender. All of it, it's like they are trying to push a narrative.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to push a narrative. Okay, there are many other great examples of how billions of dollars are being funneled, but I want to share this one as well. One of the billions of tax dollars spent by the U.S. Agency for International Development Office, again, not aid, that are being questioned by the Trump administration, millions went to fraud terrorism. A multi-year investigation brought by the Justice Department and U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia reveals the scope of how funds were used in one recent terror-related case. The case represents one of the most significant diversions of USAID-funded humanitarian aid. Let me get on here. Involved a Syrian national, Mohammed al-Hafian, who was charged with illegally diverting more than $9 million of taxpayer money through USAID to armed combatant groups, which included the ANF al-Nusra Front, a designated foreign terrorist organization affiliated with Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And it continues to go on. I'm just saying, there's 12 billion, 16 billion. This is going through this agency to fund the terror group. So we're actually funding the groups that then we need to go and stop or maybe support the countries that they're being terrorized by to help them stop. And lots of money.
Are they really stopping them, or are we just pretending to stop them? That's the question I have. Let's take a look at this video. Oh, good. It's going to take a while to bring it up. Thank you. Oh, good. Let's
Meet the champ, the ultimate electric dirt.
Sorry about that, guys.
While the commercial's playing, I'll share this stat here. The USAID is $43.4 billion for fiscal year 23, which, by the way, our budget in fiscal year 23, which we blew past, was just over $6 trillion. So we're just scraping the tiny tip of the top of the iceberg of the spending, and we're finding all of this nonsense.
Closed again today. The State Department is reviewing that organization for potential reorganization. Correspondent Madeline Rivera has the latest on that tonight.
USAID supporters outraged after Elon Musk said this week President Trump had signed off on shutting it down. Now the agency is under review, authorized by its new acting director, Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
This is not about getting rid of foreign aid. There are things that we do through USAID that we should continue to do. Is that better through the State Department, or is that better through something, a reformed USAID?
Launched in 1961 by former President John F. Kennedy, the United States Agency for International Development was seen as a way to counter Soviet influence through American goodwill. Now, Republicans say the agency has been used as a slush fund, doling out money on wasteful initiatives like $20 million for a Sesame Street workshop in Iraq and $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt.
What we have seen with USAID is just a blatant disregard for what Americans want to see.
Democrats argue dismantling USAID will undermine the United States' position on the world stage, leaving opportunities for Russia and China to seize. They're also slamming its takeover as an abuse of power.
It's illegal to do that because it's contrary to a congressional appropriation and a statute creating the agency.
Colorado-based economic consulting contractor Causal Design says it gets about 70% of its revenue from USAID. Without that funding, its CEO says he could begin layoffs as soon as this month.
We can look at things to improve, but let's do it while we're working. There's no need to stop business and to stop industry.
House Speaker Mike Johnson did not say whether President Trump can shut down USAID without congressional approval, adding he does not have all the details yet to make a determination.
So I'm just going to toss this out there. One of the reasons legally that Trump is going down the road of shutting it down unilaterally as the president of the United States is because you cannot give an agency a blank check as the Congress and say, go fill it out to whoever you want, however you want. Now the Constitution does say that the Congress holds the purse strings, but they have to delineate where that money is going. They can't just send it off to an agency. It's just like the Chevron deference, which is where without Chevron deference, you could not close down USAID.
And John, I believe it was established by an EO. President Kennedy signed the executive order. So guess what? The current president has the authority to override any previous EO. So
I'd heard that
that's
as
also
well.
what he's using.
I'd heard that as well, but it had since been put through Congress. But again, Congress can't just go through and give you a blank check and say, go fill it out for whoever you want. And that's the method that they're going after and shutting it down. And I think that it's the right thing to do. Well, and by the way, even Donald Trump will say it's not shut down, it's paused while we figure out what's in it. And then let's find the appropriate way through Congress and other means to actually put this out there. I do have another video. I know that makes you guys crazy that I've got another video here.
Can
But
I
I've got
comment
another-
before you started? Just a
Yeah.
quick comment on that. The senator who you saw there, Joni Ernst, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
Yep.
She said when she was trying to get to understand where USAID was sending out checks, they didn't even respond to her emails. That's how arrogant the bureaucracy is, right? But now that Elon, and by the way, his team only has read capabilities. They're not changing anything. They're just reading stuff and exposing it. That's the only thing that they're doing.
Which should be public information, by the way, right? So you're upset with him once again for outing you, right? Remember when he first bought X, well, Twitter, and he's like, I'm going to invite other journalists to come in, review all this material, and report out on it. And people lost their minds. Look, we're just shining a light on it. And
Marie's got a question too.
Yeah.
Do you think they found all this before he took office? He came in ready to take it down. What are your thoughts, guys?
I don't think so. I think there's just that good.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The
Sarcasm alert, please.
Yeah, Marie, the folks that work for Elon, they're pretty special and young. These guys are in their 20s, but they're extremely bright, and they just know how to find the information.
So the broad strokes, I guarantee Trump knew before he came into office. He knew that USAID was a fraud center. He knew that they were funneling and trafficking with that. They were definitely laundering. I don't think that, to your point, Al, I don't think that they knew the details of all of the sickness that's going on down there. But here's another quick hit. Stephen Miller, never been one to mince words.
My favorite guy.
Probably no entity in the government that is more of an entrenched power center of unelected bureaucrats with less accountability, less oversight than USAID. They funnel money to their cronies all over the world through a swampy network of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and cutouts, including potentially some very troubling elements of focusing on things like regime change and destabilizing foreign countries. But this is not about America's interests. Donald Trump is courageously restoring democracy. Article 2 of the executive branch vests all power by the Constitution. Sorry, Article 2 of the Constitution vests all power of the executive branch in a president. It's known as the vesting clause. It says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular, not in the bureaucracy, not in unelected, lifetime tenured career civil servants. Americans voted for one man, Donald J. Trump. They didn't vote for a single bureaucrat at USAID. They voted for Donald Trump to make government accountable to the taxpayer, to make government accountable for them. If the Democrats are saying, as they are, that President Trump cannot implement his agenda at USAID, that Donald Trump cannot fire recalcitrant bureaucrats, what they are saying, what Democrats are saying, is they oppose democracy itself. They oppose the idea that the American people can elect a man, in this case, our President Donald Trump, to reform the government according to the will of the people.
There you go.
There you go. He's a threat to an existential threat to democracy. How much and by the way, it's the same faces over and over and over again that are shouting the loudest about this. And you just got to ask, what are you afraid of? I mean, I have a feeling that they have good reasons to be afraid.
I agree with you. I think that they're going to be exposed.
You want to hear from Elizabeth Warren?
Do I have to?
I have a few. You can see Maxine Waters right behind her. I mean, if that doesn't just make you lose your dinner, I don't know what will.
Now, no one elected Elon Musk to nothing.
That's right. Nothing.
Not one Democrat in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one. Not one Republican in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one independent in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one libertarian in America voted for Elon Musk. Damn, not one vegetarian in America voted for Elon Musk. And yet, Elon Musk is seizing the power that belongs to the American people. We are here to fight back.
Seizing the power that belongs to the American people. Seizing the power? He's just going, hey, I found this stuff, everyone. You want to take a look at it? Is that seizing power? This woman's
she's been taking speaking tips from Jesse Jackson. Every vegetarian in the audience. Let's look at another rebuttal. Another actor comes out and has his words about Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, I have this to say to you on behalf of the American people. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been incredible. We really appreciate it. Keep going. You can do it.
Come on. Keep going. You can do it. Don't stop. Okay, but wait. There's more. There's more.
Elon Musk and his aides have gotten access to critical government computer systems, including the one at the Treasury Department that writes the checks appropriated by Congress for the U.S., checks to federal government employees, checks for Social Security recipients, et cetera. Do you have an issue with that?
Of course I do. First of all, every American needs to know that your information, your personal tax records have been potentially compromised, that unelected billionaires and his Silicon Valley right-wing friends may have access to all of your personal information. And all of this seems to be in service of taking control of the federal government and using the resources of the federal government to reward Trump's friends and Musk's friends and to punish their enemies, at least to punish people who don't line up with the political priorities of the administration. They say they're just, sorting through all of government spending to make sure that it doesn't contain funding for woke ideologies. That is just fancy talk to say we're going to give money to people who pledge loyalty to Donald Trump, and we're not going to give money to people who don't pledge loyalty to Donald Trump. Today it may be government contracts, but tomorrow it may be your tax refund. So I just think this is a super dangerous moment that doesn't just impact government contractors, that now may impact ordinary Americans. And I think you're seeing this weekend and today folks realizing the scope of this crisis, and you're starting to see the American public really speak out and speak up.
Let me just point out the super obvious here. The super obvious is he's claiming that now Elon Musk and his team have access to information that an unelected official should not have. Well, how about the rest of the clowns at the IRS? How about the rest of the clowns at Treasury? They're not elected.
I don't know who those people are.
And then he goes and makes these insane accusations that Elon's going to go in there and fiddle with some numbers and take good care of his fellow friend billionaires.
Right. That's why he's here.
And be scared, because now he's going to have your tax return. Boy, these guys love to scare the American public, don't they? Such scum. And mind you, that was CNN. So maybe, the whole 7 or 8 people that watch that show, aside from the kids watching SpongeBob and the other TV. I mean, these guys they're ridiculous. I love this, by the way.
Gets more views than them. So
most trusted news network, easy now.
So I want you to hear from another one of our wonderful congresspersons. These people are they're just amazing in all of the iterations that they spew from their. Anyway, here you go.
We're going to tell Elon Musk, now listen to me, get your hands out my pockets. Say it with me. Get your hands out my pockets. Get your hands out my pockets. Get your hands out my pockets. Get your hands out my pockets.
That's what I've been saying. Get your hands out my pockets. That's my taxes.
Get your foot off the Constitution. Take your foot off my neck.
So that line, by the way, comes from a Donald Trump quote that he says he does not get even with people. He looks for an opportunity, and when he does, if someone's wronged him or his family, he will knock them down, step on their neck, and never, ever, ever let them back up. I'm just saying. Comes from Art of the Deal.
Yep. There is somebody he did not let lock up during his first term. Yet. I don't think she's on my bingo card. Okay, Chuck Schumer. You have like 5 of these radical, wacko people, and they're just in the news all the time. This guy has got to be shaking. Like, I bet he can't sleep right now of all the times he gets up and he's got this passionate thing going on. He's everywhere.
We also know this is just the beginning. If DOGE attacks USAID today, then you can be sure they'll move on to another target tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Postal Service or the IRS or even the Social Security Administration. They could be next. Or maybe our national security agency. We also know this is just.
I hope so. I mean, how many of you are like, I hope that's true. I hope that comes to fruition. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, let's find out where all that money goes to the U.S. Postal Service. Didn't they just pay him like $10 billion to build like 3 electric vehicles, and they only delivered 2?
Yeah.
So, El, that video that you put in the chat, is that regarding the same topic, or?
It's a super cut of everybody on the Democrat side that mentioned the name Elon. It's just everybody saying Elon.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Everybody, they all love Elon, right?
Listen to this.
Elon Musk. 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 Elon Musk.
Wow.
Gee, I wonder if they know a guy named Elon Musk.
I keep hearing Elon Musk. Elon Musk. That's what I keep hearing. That was great, by the way. Good
Seems
find.
like Elon, they have Trump derangement syndrome and Elon derangement syndrome.
Yeah, they have lost their minds.
EDS. They have EDS.
They should play that in surround sound for all these folks.
But by the way, if you enjoyed that little clip there that Elle brought us, if that's the only thing you've enjoyed so far, hit the thumbs up in the thumbs up, or I guess it's thumbs up everywhere, just about, right? Just click the little thumbs up thing. That's how the algorithm knows that you enjoyed that video, so somebody else can see it and enjoy it as well. I got one more I want to share. I have a bunch more, but I know we can't watch them all. I thought this was good. She's like, did we just wake up in a new country? Did we just wake up? Is this a new country?
I feel like we woke up in a new America this morning, because all I can think about with the USAID unravelings that we saw yesterday, everything's starting to make sense. Like, you're like, oh, remember the migrants that were dropped off at our southern border, that supposedly the caravan went 500 miles walking through Mexico in order to get there, wearing $2 flip-flops and babies strapped to their back? And then you're like, oh, remember those bricks that were just happened to be there in our inner cities anytime there was like a racial uprising? Or how those migrants were able to afford the Roosevelt Hotel in downtown New York City? Like, did we fund our own demise in this country? Because that's what this has all been about. Like, did we?
I love that, because I think that is exactly like, we were talking about this earlier. I think it's my take. My take is, this is the first This is one of the first tranches we see, right? This $43 billion fund on actually, we're probably closer to $8 trillion now in terms of our spending, right? At least last year, I think it was like 7 and change. This is a small piece. And all of us who are kind of paying attention get it. We're incensed, right? This is ridiculous. We knew this was happening. Here it is. Now, when it gets a little to the next one, which will be a little bigger, and the next one a little bigger, eventually you get to the ones that are so big that even those people who they're tuned into CNBC or MSNBC all day long, even they will say, oh, maybe Trump's right. And that's the moment. I don't know when that happens, but I think that's what's happening.
Well, I think right now it's just been innuendo, but there's going to be proof that comes out that shows that 80% of the money that they're sending to XYZ is not going to XYZ. It's going to someone's pocket, and they're going to track that down, which is why, I don't know if you've seen, they've been trying to get, why is, Billy Joe Democrat trying to get into USAID? What are they going to do? Do they have any idea what's in there once they get in there? They don't, but they're pounding on the door saying, let us in. And I saw a great video. This guy's like, yeah, here to tell you that you can't come in. We're not, very nicely he's the perfect, ambassador for that door. But he said, no, you're not coming in here. And this is by order of a guy way above you. He signs your checks. No.
He was very gentlemanly. He shook hands and everything. Oh, very nice to meet you. Yes. Yeah, you won't be coming in here tonight. I was like, wow, this guy keeps his composure.
All right, big whiplash. Let's change subject again. Speaking of big whiplash. No, we've been on USAID for an hour now.
I just wanted to share this, and then I'll let go.
That was supposed to be the end clip.
Well, I won't show it then.
No, go ahead, show it now.
Okay. Before the show, we were like, oh, wow, we're almost at $62 billion in savings. Gosh, keep going, Doge. Maybe by next week we'll be at 62 billion. Nope. It's about an hour later. We're over $62 billion in savings. That little gold Doge clock right here.
It's funny. I'd heard today it was over 84. So I want that clock to catch up with what they're saying vocally. So
that's possible. All right, John, back to you.
So I'm out here on the streets, and let me tell you, things are really kicking up over here. Sorry, I was told never to do that voice on the air. So here's, did you guys see the big, gigantic, crazy, what the heck is he saying announcement that Donald Trump made last night?
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Talk about the one about the Middle East.
About Gaza. He had, Bibi Netanyahu with him. And so I didn't get the clip where you have Bibi's expression. Because he's like, wait, what? Did we talk about that? he's like, wait, hey, what? Are you holding out on me? But here's our friend Joy, such a joyful person.
Joy.
And she's going to talk about this great big announcement that was made last night.
Donald Trump making news in the biggest possible way. I'm going to read you the quotes that I think are stunning to just about everyone who heard them today. After a day of calling for the people of Gaza, who he numbered at 1.8 million, to be relocated out of the Gaza Strip. Today, Donald Trump said the following about the Palestinian people. They can instead occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do it, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the destroyed buildings. When he was pressed on whether or not he would be willing to use the military to accomplish the U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip, he doubled down on that, said, we will do what's necessary. We'll do what's necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over the peace and we're going to develop it. He referred to the Gaza Strip as the Riviera of the Middle East. He said that world people will live in Gaza, including Palestinians and anyone else, I suppose, that wants to live in this new real estate development he proposed today. This was stunning. And this came in a press conference with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his first trip to the United States since he was labeled a war criminal by the International Criminal Court with arrest warrants issued. This is one of the few countries where Prime Minister Netanyahu can travel because the United States does not recognize the authority of the International Criminal Court, which rendered a judgment that genocide and apartheid had taken place inside of Israel, disregarding the war in Gaza. So this was their joint press conference following a bilateral meeting. A stunner by any definition of the word. Donald Trump.
So she had to get that piece in there about Netanyahu being a convicted war criminal by the stop
international court that's not recognized. By the way, John, after like 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, that's all sounding really good. I wonder if she's going to say, and this sounds really good, but then it's like, oh, Netanyahu is a criminal. Like everything she said up to that point, it'll be great. They'll live in peace and prosperity, and it'll be beautiful, and other people can come. And I'm like, oh, sounding pretty good so far. Where's the butt coming from?
Yeah. So watch. Here's another clip. Interesting.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation.
So Bibi's just sitting there. He's like, if you look at one point, he's gripping that podium so hard the blood leaves his hands.
Wait, what did he just say?
So if I can add something to the conversation, I've read some articles that that people are outside of the U.S. are looking at this like, hey, this could be like the new Dubai. And I don't know about our listeners, but if you've ever been, to that part of the world, it's a destination. Dubai is a global city where people, commerce, and it's a great place to go and visit. And I can only imagine Trump is like, we can't just rebuild it so they can destroy it again. It just can't, we've been doing this, like, what do you say, like 40 years, 4 decades. We just can't go back to doing the same thing and expecting a different item. I think this is brilliant. This is something like only Trump could come up with, like, hey, let's look at this outside of the box.
I have another video, and then I want to dig in a little bit more. But this video, if you watch, there's a part where Donald Trump is talking about the Palestinian people, and you really see Donald Trump's heart in this one. So let me just toss this one up here.
I was saddened by the fate of the Palestinian people. They deserve a far better life. They deserve the chance to achieve their extraordinary potential. Palestinians have been trapped in a cycle of terrorism, poverty, and violence, exploited by those seeking to use them as pawns to advance terrorism and extremism.
It's beautiful. It's well said.
I was saddened.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean,
that's perfectly said.
I heard someone's analysis of what's going on here. So let me tell you, my first thought, and I think it probably is tied into what Marie's thoughts are. My first thoughts are, I don't want to get involved in another nation, especially one that is just so fraught with terror and fighting. And is that going to be the next U.S. quagmire? That was my first thought. But then this other analysis came up, and the guy was saying that his belief was, if we go in there and we do what we're saying we're going to do. Look, we're not telling everybody they have to go someplace else, but while we're cleaning it up, it's probably safer. And he would work with Jordan and Syria and all these other surrounding countries to find a place to reestablish temporary housing for you as we rebuild this place. And then everybody comes back. You have great jobs. No one wants to destroy it, because it's just like when you do urban renewal. Now there's this beautiful city. Who wants to go out there with the spray paint? At the same time, we're going to clean up that mess of all of the Hezbollah, because, by the way, it's Hezbollah that has been destroying these families. It's Hezbollah that has been destroying these children and enforcing this almost Sharia law like in their own way. So then the next step is you build this. They're calling it the Riviera. Whatever, they're going to do whatever they're going to do. That's the media. They're going to do whatever they have to try to bring it down. But if you can stop the fighting there, and then what ends up happening is you take the heat off of Israel. Now, Israel's not in this constant mode of fighting for their own survival. And here's the challenge. The challenge is you've got to get Bibi on board, because that is Israel's land.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So he is, and Donald Trump is the master negotiator. Somehow he is threading the needle of probably one of the messiest places on earth. And he's threading that needle, and he's doing it.
Yeah, John. And to add to that, I think he is going to get the region to bring their companies and that money to come and rebuild it. He's not going to, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, the CNN, of course, we're asking, how does the president feel about sending a Marine? And what if a Marine dies there? All of these hypotheticals, because they're so upset that the president has a great idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You can almost hear it in his comments, because he's talked about this twice now. Once with Bibi, and then afterwards. And actually today he talked about it, a little bit. To your point, John, he's a master negotiator. He's going to bring in these folks. He already said that Qatar and a couple of other regional countries want to be part of this. So it's a U.S. idea that's implemented by the local countries. What a great concept. And we don't have to put boots on the ground. No, because everybody's in it. And if you're going to attack, let's say Egypt, Dubai, Saudi Arabia are there. If a terror group comes in there, do you think that Saudi Arabia is going to put up with that? They're not.
Or Egypt. Yeah, that's a really good point. When I first heard it, my first thought was he had just announced, sovereign wealth fund, and I was thinking, would he have the U.S. build this and then turn it into a money making machine for the U.S.? Is that what his thought is? But actually, I think the more likelihood is what you just described, when the entire region is invested there, right, with their ideas, their plans, their buildings, and they create that beautiful masterpiece, which they've already done many times out there, then everybody has a stake in it staying safe and protected and beautiful. That changes the landscape completely. And I agree, there's some really powerful countries that would not allow someone like Iran to come in and try to establish Hezbollah again. They wouldn't allow it.
Speaking of Iran, Donald Trump talked last night as well about Iran. And he was again talking about the beautiful people of Iran, and he got choked up. It was amazing. I don't have the clip, I'm sorry, but he got choked up. It was amazing to see this guy who, everyone just looks at him, not everyone. There is a segment of the population that looks at him as this callous, money grubbing. No, this guy's got a gigantic heart. And he was talking about, what's going on over there in Iran is not fair to the people of Iran. There are many, many wonderful people in Iran, and they are being ruled by this horrible class of mullahs that don't care about the people of Iran. There are so many assets and resources in Iran that could be a very rich and wealthy nation, but they're not because of the mullahs that are in charge. And he said, however, we can't let them have a nuclear weapon, and we'll do whatever we have to do to make sure that they don't get a nuclear weapon. And if I should be assassinated by an Iranian force. I have left a detailed plan to wipe Iran off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Okay. Well, there you go. And you know what? He doesn't bluff. He never needs to bluff.
Just yeah, I heard that. I heard him speak, and I agree. There are people in all of these countries just like us making their way through life with their family and their friends, and they have a business or they have a job, and they just want to enjoy their time in their community. I can't imagine that they're living for the opportunity for war. That's not how it works. Maria, look, face value, I agree with you. If you ask me what are the top 5 things that I want our president to be focused on, that wouldn't make the list. But you know what's interesting is that guy can focus on a lot more than 5 things at once, and he's looking way ahead. And as I think about what is the impact of him bringing stability to an area that's just unstable all the time, that number one, if those countries can help solve this problem with their money, not ours, and it means no military from the US has to be put in harm's way, that's like the trifecta win. It also allows him to stay focused on the things locally in our country that really matter to you and I. I love it because it takes the pressure off us for having to be there and swing the hammers and axes and hold the rifles ourselves. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And, you know, part of this, because he plays 5D chess, we're only looking at the one move that he just made. But what are all the other things that it did? Did it take some heat off the USAID? Did it take heat off of Kash Patel? Did it? I mean, this guy, he is so far ahead of all of us that it's just hard to even imagine all of the chess moves that he just made all in one thing. However, I've got this one more fun video for you guys. We're moving off of Gaza now because I think that more things are going to come from that over the next few weeks. But here's Jamie Raskin, because that's a great face, isn't it? Let's just look at that for a second. You got Jamie Raskin, and of course you got Maxine Waters right there.
Oh, what a pair.
Let's hear what they had to say.
Are you willing to fight day and night, dawn and dusk, to fight Elon Musk and take our government back?
Okay, I normally don't stop the clips midstream, but he's been taking Jesse Jackson lessons too.
Yeah, they all are.
Dawn and dusk to stop Elon Musk. What?
God damn it, shut down the Senate!
We are at war. We'll see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a nuts baby. We are here to fight back. This is no longer business as usual.
Thank God.
So you heard them all talking about fighting in the streets and going after it. We are at war. Do you remember when Donald Trump said, go march peacefully and patriotically?
Impeach that man. He's an insurrectionist. Yes.
As we speak, there is a 50-state protest going on, and many people look at what's happening with this. There's not a lot going on. This is actually, Dr. Seuss, this is actually Los Angeles right now. That's at the City Hall. Over the last few nights, there have been tens of thousands of people in the streets. Again, our friend of the show, Mike, he's on tactical alert. I'm surprised that nothing has happened yet, but I think that I heard another podcast and he was talking about how he agrees with all of us that was a go order, and that the only thing that they did was change their uniform. They changed their uniform from all the black bloc to now holding the flag of Mexico. I think this might be a counter protest here because we actually see American flags here.
I was going to say, John,
this is the counter protest.
You got the wrong ones, but that's great. I'm glad to see him out there. Also, the crowd's really small compared to the ones we've been seeing.
Yeah. So this is probably the counter protest saying, we love our country, and you can stay if you're, if you love it too. But there are 50 state protests. I would be surprised if it doesn't ramp up by the weekend and get kind of ugly. Hope it doesn't. But we just kind of think that that's how they do things now.
Yeah, it is interesting. The protests that we have seen, pretty large crowds actually. So far, we haven't seen any buildings being burned. Some vandalism, a very small scale. Yelling and screaming in the cops' faces, but so far there hasn't been, like the frozen water bottles and cans of peas being thrown at them. We're not seeing any of that so far. If they continue to protest, great. That is part of our that is part of our country's DNA. Protest. If you do it on the freeway like they were doing before, don't be surprised if you get run over or get arrested, because that's part of the risk you took. But if you're on the sidewalks and you're protesting and you're loud and you're chanting and you're shouting, great. God bless you.
You have to bring a drum. You have to bring a drum. It's new. It's the new policy of all protests. You have to bring a drum
and a catchy rhyme.
No carrots, no peas.
No carrots.
Did you guys see? Did you see? So, by the way, it is really heating up at the border. We talked about it in the intro. There's some really ugly things going on down there, but we also had a R-135 flying over around the entire area of Mexico. Why is that important?
Yes.
R-135 can track an object the size of a basketball from 300 miles away. When you see an R-135 in the area, what they're doing is mapping the battlefield. They're going in there and they're looking for all the cartel hotspots, their hideouts, their training camps, and everything else. I guarantee one pass, they got it all. And this gets down into areas that the satellites may or may not be able to see because it has different sensors. Well, they went through and they did a pass. And the funny thing was, they have the ability to do that stealth. So stealth meaning to where the three of us can't see it online, but they did it so that they could see it, because they want these people to know we're serious, we're coming after you. Well, our SecDef was down at the border the other day and he was meeting some of the troops and having some fun. Here's a quick little video from him in a couple words. I'm driving.
The Defense Department has been helping on the border for decades, just not at the level that President Trump has charged us with right now. Because we believe, and he believes, that border security is national security. We will defend this line. And in talking to the men and women in uniform, they're proud to be here. They're excited to be here. They're motivated to be here because they're defending their friends, their family, their communities, their church, their schools, their loved ones from an invasion of people whose intentions we don't know. Guys and gals of my generation have spent decades in foreign countries guarding other people's borders. It's about time we secure our own border.
Amen.
There's a real Secretary of Defense. How about that?
Is that what that looks like? Oh, I was wondering what that was. It's been so long since we've had one.
It has been a while. And Rude's Girl, protest protocol, drums, rhyming chant, bullhorn, girls in pink hair. Oh, wait, I just assumed their gender.
Yeah, don't do that. It's not right.
So I think as we watch, when I talked last week about MARSOC going on there, Marine Special Operations Command. The thing about Marine Special Operations Command, or MARSOC, it's much easier to say, they don't go in there to guard a gate. They don't. They go in to solve a problem. They get their mission, they go dark for a few days, and then they come back and they need to resupply. They don't. And the other thing is they may or may not be in communication once they go dark. They're going to go out. They're going to take care of what they need. I guarantee the R-135 was finding targets for them. They're going to go in, take care of those targets, come back out, and rest, relaxation, come back and go back and do it again. The other thing is 101st Airborne's down there. Interesting that the 101st Airborne's down there. That is Army. So the Marine Corps has the right, and in I don't even remember they don't have to go through posse comitatus to do ops on U.S. soil. However, the Army does. And so my assumption is that the Army is going to infiltrate, not guard the border. It's just an assumption.
Wow.
What do
Interesting.
you think? Elle, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if for those of you that are movie buffs, if you've ever seen the movie Sicario, I read a little behind the scenes on the director, Villeneuve, I think is his name. He wanted to portray our troops to the professionals that they are, and if you've seen that movie, yeah, these are very special men and women who can disappear into a crowd, and you will never hear about them until they come out on their own. So these guys are designed to blend in, and which is good. Look, there's some bad people in this world. We don't need to send giant tanks. We can do like a surgeon, go in, remove the cancer without disturbing the full body, and let the body heal and move on. And it's good that we have the backing, right? Our troops are warriors, as Pete has said. The warrior spirit has always been there. I have a lot of trust in our Marines and our Army soldiers to do the right thing. For them to have the backing of the leadership makes them even more lethal, right? Because they know that if something goes awry, they can pick up the phone and we'll reach out and help them out. So yeah, it's I think it's good. I feel bad for the people that have to live, the Mexican people, just like Trump spoke of the Iranians. A lot of these folks in their own country, because their government is in cahoots with the cartels, they're kind of stuck, right? And to be able to do a surgical move and remove some of these bad guys, I think it also helps the country there heal. There's a lot of good people in that country. I mean, it's a country of 200 million people. Yeah. So I think it's great.
And I think that, to your point, if it's MARSOC, they'll go in, do their strike, and come out. No one will even know they were there. That's just how they do it,
Yeah.
MARSOC
and I feel like you kind of need that for a couple reasons. One, I like your analogy, by the way. So just like, can you just get the cancer and not kill the whole body? And I think that's brilliant, because what we don't want to do, I would not like to see us actually cause any long-term big damage to our border country, Mexico. So I think that would be a travesty. And let's face it, it's the cartels that are driving this. It's not the people that live there don't want the cartels either. Right. So we don't want to we don't want to harm the people. But the other reason why is because if you're more overt, you end up on the news, and then it becomes this big, long, sad story about how the U.S. is doing all this bad stuff. But instead, if you get in there, you take care of business, and you get out, magically things just change, and all of a sudden it's just a better place. And I think that is the best outcome for everyone.
And not only that, but these cartels have gotten to a level because of the influence of the Chinese, so, maybe they were also, part victims. It's sad to say, right? With Obama's plan to give weapons to these cartels, to China coming in and saying, hey, we want to take down that country north of you. Here's some drugs, and we're going to pay you to start shipping it north. If they were to say no, well, then the Chinese are going to go down the list to other countries, right? And now that country's stuck in the middle. So Yeah, it's a complex problem. I like the fact that diplomatically, the president, who I think is doing an incredible job, went down to Mexico, put a line in the sand with the tariffs. They agreed to put people at the border so people know this is a combined or a joint effort, which is great, right? You always want to do that to demonstrate that you can work together with other countries. And who knows, maybe that president said, hey, Mr. Trump, can you help us out? I can't say this publicly, but we need some help.
Yeah.
Could be. I do know that we're not putting anything on hold. We're going for it. And it's like everything else. Donald Trump has a mission. It goes back to the question Marie had asked earlier. Do you think he knew about USAID? Well, I think he knows about a whole lot of things. And a whole lot of things are already scheduled out. They have, some people talk about the president's first 100 days. I guarantee he's got the first 2 years booked out. He's had the last 4 years to plan it out, and it's going to be boom, 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 boom with contingency plans along the way. But what's happening down there, when he said he will wipe out the cartels once and for all, you think about all of the war on drugs and all of these things. They never did anything. The only thing that they did was, they traded more of our treasure and American lives just to enrich and strengthen the cartels. So
Right.
it's time. It's time.
Right. No one, I can't think in my lifetime ever where somebody truly challenged the cartels. The local Mexican armies have tried, different Mexican leaders have tried. They have failed. This could be the first time, and in my lifetime, I don't remember when the U.S. was ever involved. Like we had our special forces involved ever. So this could be the time. Imagine liberating Mexico from the cartels. Incredible.
I can tell you when I was in my last duty station in the Navy, it was all about computer wargaming, and it wasn't like what you see on TV. Well, do you want to play a game? It was taking scenarios and putting that information as well as all the targets and everything else into a computer system, and then have the battle group commanders come in and fight the war. We did some with CBP and I probably shouldn't say. We did some with Customs and Border Patrol at the time and other operators. And it's interesting. They had plans. They never executed those plans. But the other thing I said this last week was, I'm sorry, real quick, Al, the other thing last week is that I saw Harriers on the border. I saw the V-22 Ospreys. I'm seeing a whole ton of Blackhawks down there. And lately I've been seeing some fighter jets down there. Now, ask yourself, why are we putting our fighter jets down there in order to guard that border? It's an open question. So
right. We didn't talk about, we'll have to save this one, but we didn't even talk about the Panama Canal. We didn't talk about El Salvador. We didn't talk about, and by the way, I mean, those are big updates from Senator, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. First mission, crushed it. We'll have to save that for another time, but
yeah,
these leaders, they're getting in. They're not like, let me get some furniture for my office. Let me make sure I got the right coffee maker. Do I have an admin yet? No, they're like on the ground.
Back to what we said. They have a list too. And they're executing.
Love it.
David, if I can add some color to that awesome comment of yours, I almost feel like, and for those of you that might have been around, if you remember the Dream Team, the U.S. basketball team, where we had Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Patrick Ewing, the Admiral. I mean, I feel like President Trump has put together probably some of the brightest people that our country has ever, raised. And these folks, wow, they're impressive. I was not expecting Marco Rubio to be as effective and as fast moving. I'm sold. So far, he's proven me wrong and how fast he's moving and getting things done for the president's policies. So yeah.
It's incredible. I love it. And that just shows you like they had a passion. They've wanted to get to work to help support this country. The president said, I see the passion. You have the intelligence. You're on the right track. You support our mission. You're in. And I don't even know what the phone call must have been. Hey, Marco, what's on your schedule? Look, I'll get back to you. I got a lot of work to do. I'm going to go down to the Panama Canal. I'll let you know how it turns out. I'm sure it's not like that, but you just imagine. And then Kristi Noem's running around on a horseback. Of course, some people had the audacity to criticize her how she's dressed. She's out there on horseback with the Border Patrol, on the ground doing her job. I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's fun to watch. And, people are making comments about greatest president ever. Look, he's 17 days in. Let's hold the applause, please. I mean, seriously, he's got a lot of time. Every single presidency, there is a scandal. There's going to be one. By the way, they've already issued articles of impeachment. So, we're going to have to deal with that. It's not going to go anywhere because they don't have the majority, but stand by, because if they win the majority in the midterms, you know where we're going. It's going to be impeachment. I think that some of the other things, David, that we can talk about for our Sunday show, which is going to be a real exciting show as well. I do want to talk about Panama and the total acquiescence there. I want to talk about some of the others. I would guess by Sunday we're probably going to know more about RFK Jr. as well as why did his name just blank me?
Cash
Patel. I think, and I really feel this from the bottom of my heart, I think that on day one, he will release the Epstein files. There's just so much pressure on it. There's so much pressure on it, and he said it. So I also am watching other people's mood and what they're doing. I'm going to withhold what I talked to you about pre-show until later, but yeah, right. But I do think that I think that there are people that are acting a little abnormal, and those people that are acting a little abnormal very well could be on that Epstein list. So I'm looking forward to Cash being, and I think he is in, which makes me think, by the way, when we talked about Bondi getting in and stuff, do you remember the head fake? There was no way that Matt Gaetz was really, he was really the guy. He wasn't. That was a head fake.
Yeah.
Totally get everybody focused on him. Put the real fighter in there. So
Look, I'm one of them. I was like, no, I like Matt Gaetz, which I do. She is by far the right person for that job, and she is going to crush it.
Yep. All right. So what are we looking for? I want to show this map real quick, and then we'll get out. When you talk about Canadian tariffs and everybody freaking out about, well, you're going to have to pay. This is actually the Canadian pipelines. And if you look at that red line that's coming from, it actually travels from the west to the east. I think it's the Alberta Clipper expansion. There's a big section of that was not allowed to be put in, as well as the Energy East canceled because of environmentalists in Canada. Said, no, you're not going to put that in. So basically they have tons and tons of oil in the west of Canada, and they need to get it to the east of Canada. So the only way they can do it right now is to actually send it down to us, and then we send it over and back it up. And you can see the crazy route that it ends up having to take up into Line 9 to get it over to the east. Well, I hear people saying, it's funny when you watch it. You go on to X and there's somebody saying, well, you're buying all this Canadian oil. You're going to be in trouble. You buy more Canadian oil than you buy from yourself. And then you hear Donald Trump and you go back to his first term where he said, yeah, because you guys are selling it to us at such a deep discount because you have to use all of our pipelines. You're right. We're actually getting it from you cheaper than we can drill it ourselves. So why wouldn't I do that? Because I'm still going to drill, but I'm going to ship that oil to someplace else, and I'm going to make a higher dollar off of it. So I'm making a profit off the dollar you're sending us, off the oil you're sending us. And then I'm going to charge you to pump it back up into your own country. He's a master of this stuff.
Which most of the rest of us are like, oh, I didn't know that all those pipelines exist. I knew we had pipelines, but look at all those pipelines. Also, the Keystone XL, which would have been super helpful for us, but actually, we have a pipeline there. That's a nice to have, not a have to have.
Yeah, Keystone goes down from the Gulf of America all the way up into Canada. If it were in that bottom, the Keystone pipeline, but the Keystone XL is the extension to it, which takes it all the way down from the Gulf. So
yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted you guys to see that. The news is going to tell you that he doesn't know what he's doing and that he's messing things up and he's pissing people off. And then you hear the rest of the story. So
that's right.
Anything else? I know that I've got a whole bunch of stuff in the quick hits file, but we've gone for $1.25 or $1.50 already, almost $2. So
I love it. I'm feeling good, but I think we're gonna have to call it for tonight. Save some of the of our material for Sunday, and of course we'll go through the same sorting hat again. Here's the list. John, we'll let you read the headlines again. That was good.
Yeah, no question. I mean, and you guys can contribute to the headlines. By the way, we are live every Wednesday and Sunday night on YouTube, X, and Rumble. We also have most of our shows are rebroadcast over on Spotify about a day or two later. It takes a while to get them uplinked there. You can join us on any of our platforms. We also have a YouTube. We already talked about that. We also have a Facebook page, and it is Just Our Take on Facebook. We love to interact with you on all those places. And if you want to send us an email, that's justourtakeshow@gmail.com. Justourtakeshow@gmail.com. We have a lot of people that have been sending us some hot tips, and we love it when you do that. So thank you very much. Tell your friends about us. Give us a thumbs up. Follow if you don't already. What else we got? Anything, guys? Elle, how about you? Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I've been so excited to listen to the show. I listened to Sunday's show, and when you asked me if I can come by today, I was super jazzed because our country is back. Our country is healing, and this is only week 3, so I'm pretty excited. It's keeping me warm because we do have snow outside.
Gosh, do we ever?
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for being here. We're going to have you back again. Thank you to Mrs. John for being on the show tonight. She did great. We learned an awful lot about birth tourism, something that none of us knew all that much about. And I think that the way to fix that is to fix this this problem that we have with the birthright citizenship. We'll see where that goes. On Sunday's show, I'm going to bring a video that producer Marie sent to me, and it is of somebody that we've talked about here on the show. And that is Mark Levin. He has dug into the birthright citizenship question deeper than anybody else has. So we're going to bring some of that video to him. Also, there's some really interesting stuff going on out there about Macron's wife. So we may dig into that a little bit. Candace Owens is actually doing a multi-part series on that right now. So lots and lots and lots. And who knows what the president's going to bring us. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, David. Thanks, Elle. We really appreciate it. Love you all. God bless. Have a great week ahead.
That's right. Have a great night.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
healthy children. Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
American rock and roll.